Howdy ho, Andrew here, aka Kelp here. Welcome to the Onion Buns and welcome to the premiere episode of React Friday. So typically the first 20-30 seconds of a video is what we call the hook. I tell you what I'm going to be talking about. I get you interested so that you stick around and you actually watch the video. Amazing, huh? I'm going to depart from that just a bit today because this is the premiere episode of React Fridays. Every Friday, I am going to find a video online that I am interested in, is compelling to me, has something to say, and I'm going to do a react on it. So, first off, what is a React video? There's a lot of misconceptions out there. I was actually recently in an argument on Reddit because people were just ranting about React videos and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with React. You watch your any YouTuber doing politics, and that's a React video. They're taking the newscast, they're playing the newscast, but they're adding content. What that is fair use. And what fair use is I have to use the definition out of the US, but I mean, it holds true everywhere. The doctrine that brief excerpts of copyright material may, under circumstances, situations, be quoted verbatim for purpose such as criticism, news, reporting, teaching, and research, without the need for permission or payment to the copyright holder. That's what a React video is you are using somebody's video that they've made and you are adding to it. You are criticizing, you are adding construction, you are reporting, you're adding to it. The way I described it on Reddit is if I take somebody's 20-minute video, or actually, sorry, what I said is I take somebody's 5-minute video and I turn that into a 15 to 20-minute long video, that's fair use because that video is the basis, but I'm adding to it. Now, we got to be careful because there's actually a few lawsuits out there right now. And I actually agree with the people doing the lawsuits because on Twitch, you have a few, and I'm not going to say their names because I find them absolutely disgusting human beings, and I'm not going to give them credit. If you want to Google and look up their names, the guy suing them is called Ethan Klein. That's the only name I'm giving you. You can look it up yourself. But what was happening was Ethan was making these videos. Now, I've never watched an Ethan Klein video in my life. I've heard his name when I watch Asmongold or something. Well, Asmongold's another example. He streams, he's React. That's what React is. But anyway, Ethan would make videos, and then he had these 4 specific streamers on Twitch that disagreed with his opinions. So one of the streamers actually ran his video and said, I'm not going to say anything beyond this. I'm just going to run the video so that you don't have to click on Ethan's link and he doesn't get credit or money for his video that he created. Sorry, that's just douchebaggery 101, and you're never going to get that from me. If I play a video, I am going to add stuff to the video. If I am doing a React video, it means I have opinions on the topic being talked about. I am not just going to steal because that's what it is. It's theft. You take somebody's video and you just run it and you add nothing to it. That's theft. And I hope Ethan hammers these 4 that he's suing. The second person he's suing, she's famous for getting so stoned on her Twitch feeds that she can't talk. So she just runs videos. People come on her channel. She runs videos. She's been known to fall asleep. Again, that's theft. If you are going to do a React video, you need to add to the video. So anyway, that's what a React video is. I just want to be clear right off the bat. You're not stealing people's content as long as you are adding to it. Now, one thing I want to be sure of is if you put out a video yesterday, I'm not going to react to it. I think there needs to be a certain amount of time for that person's audience to click, watch, promote that video. Like, that person made the video, so they deserve the initial attention. But once the video is like a month or so older, there's very little retention on YouTube. And I found this on my channel too. It's like, I'll get 300 views on a video, and after a month, it's like 2, 3, 4 months later, I'm still sitting at 301, 302 views. People don't tend to search out those old videos. So by doing a React video, at least in my opinion, and you're free to disagree with me, this is how I look at it, is if I'm doing a React video, I'm actually advertising your video. I'm saying, hey, you people have never seen this video. You've probably never heard of this channel. So I'm going to play this video. I'm going to give you my opinions on this, because as I said, I'm not going to play a video where I don't have strong opinions. But I'm going to play it. I'm going to put the link into the description of every video. So if you like the video you watched on my channel and you want to see more of their work, you just go to the description and their link to their channel will be there every single time. And to me, that's what a React video is you are adding to it. You are improving it. You are expanding on it. And when I say improving, that doesn't mean the video is bad. Not in the slightest. It can be an excellent video, but it's run its course. So now you're getting some advertising. So that's how I look at it. All right. And I wanted to be upfront because if you've watched any of my old videos, I'm big on transparency. I want to be transparent right from word go. This is my intention. This is why I'm doing it. There can be no misunderstanding. So with that out of the way, today's video, the premiere, is going to be about Starfield, as you can tell by the background I'm using. I have a mixed opinion of Starfield. I think Starfield could have been and should have been a massive, massive, massive success. It should have been, but Bethesda just made so many bloody mistakes on it. And that's what this video is about. This video is called Bethesda is Wrong About Starfield Criticism. So what this video is about is there's been a lot of Starfield criticism. Some valid, some not valid. And Bethesda seems to have turned a deaf ear to it. So this video from AVV Gaming, they took the time to make this video and they dug up all the sources and everything. So this is actually a really excellent video that I'm going to play. And as I said, I'm going to be breaking in on areas where I have opinions, and I'm going to add my 2 cents to it. But they did a great video here, and it's worth people seeing. And like I said, if you like this video, I strongly encourage you to go to AVV Gaming. I am putting the link in the description of this video. So you can click on the link and go see all the videos they have and see if there's anything that appeals to you, doesn't appeal to you, whichever. The other thing I want to talk about before I start this video is because I want to be as careful as possible that I don't overuse any one content creator. Because as I said, I view React videos as a form of advertisement for them. But if I do like 6 weeks of AVV Gaming videos, well, that's not advertising them. That's just stealing from them, you know? So I'm going to go out of my way to do to change it up every week. And thus, it's not always going to be about gaming. We're going to have politics. We're going to have gaming. We're going to have special interest. You know, it's going to be all over the board. So it'll be a week-to-week thing on which one I do. Now, the other reason I'm doing this, again, for transparency, is in 2026, I am going to attempt to step into the streaming platform. Now, when I started my channel 6 months ago, roughly, I swore I'd never do streaming. You know, and 6 months ago, I was dead serious because I wasn't comfortable talking. I felt I needed a script. I felt I needed heavy editing. 'Cause one of the things I absolutely hate is when you listen to somebody talking, it's like, so, I hate that. I don't want to be that guy. So I felt I needed to edit myself because everybody does. They say once in a while. And I would edit those out of my videos for the most part. But as I've been doing my videos, I've become more accustomed to speaking, for lack of a better word. And I'm getting to the stage where I think I can hold my own on a live stream. Or at least I'm hoping, cross fingers. But I'm not there yet. Now, as I said, like with Asmongold and all the other streamers, basically what they do is react videos. That's all live streaming is react. From what I've seen anyway. Maybe somebody can correct me on that. From what I've seen, live streaming is basically react videos. So I wanted to do a weekly series where I do a react video. So I get in the mode of it. I get comfortable with it. I get comfortable would be the right word. So that when I do live streaming, I'm not going, I'm not Mark Carney. I can actually speak. I can carry a conversation towards the monitor. And so, yeah, that's my transparency there. This is what I want to get out of this. This is why I'm doing it. And also because I watch a lot of videos every day. Like they give me ideas. They give me not so much content, but they give me ideas on how to fix my own content. And I have opinions. When I'm watching those, I'm like, well, you missed this point, or you missed this point, or I think you're wrong on this, or, I have opinions. So that's what I'm going to try to do. Hopefully it's going to be successful. I really hope so. And I hope you all will keep coming back. And see, the other thing I want to mention before I start the video is I know every video I go on about comments, but I really, really, really do want your comments for two reasons. One, as I always say, it helps with the YouTube algorithm, getting more eyes on my videos. It gets us interacting. But the third reason for this specifically is if you come across any videos that you would like me to cover, or, at least look at anyway, put it in the comments. I will look at the video, and if I feel I can do a react to it, I will. Now, if it's a topic that I don't know anything about, or I really don't have very strong opinions on, I'm not going to do it because I would have nothing to offer. And then we're back into the just playing the video and stealing somebody else's content, which I'm not going to do. Point blank, I'm not going to do that. But yeah, if you come across a video in gaming or politics or whatever, and you think it might be relevant to me, please post it in the comments. Say, hey, Andrew, hey, Cal, take a look at this. And we'll go with it from there. I'm not, no pornography or any of that stuff, but yeah, just because I can't see everything. And I'm not Asmongold. I don't have a staff working for me. It's just me. So I watch what I watch, and I remember what stands out to me. So please post in the comments if you have a video that you would like me to cover. I will look at the video, and if I think it's relevant and if I have opinions and everything, I will definitely utilize it. All right, so that's enough from me. Let's get to the actual content of this. So, as I said, Starfield is the topic. Bethesda is wrong about Starfield criticism. This is an excellent video, so let's get started.
There's an online action game called Path of Exile. I personally haven't played it, but apparently there's a rare item in the game called the Mirror of Calandra. The chances of that item dropping for you is 1 in 26 million. Now that's rare, but you know what's even more rare? Elder Scrolls 6 news. It's crazy that we live in a world where the entirety of GTA 6 was leaked. Nate the Hate managed to confirm an Oblivion remaster before a single image surfaced, and yet when it comes to one of the most anticipated games of all time, we don't hear a peep. If you have followed my channel for a while, you'll know how deep I have to dive in the internet just to find any article that indicates the game exists.
That's very true. Elder Scrolls 6 has been very hush-hush by Bethesda. Very hush-hush. And it's kind of mind-boggling because it's such a important franchise to Bethesda. But yeah, they've been very hush-hush on it. And it's strange because like if it's an unknown franchise, then yeah, you want to be hush-hush. You want to control the expectation because you don't want to overhype it. You don't want to mislead people. But Elder Scrolls is such a renowned franchise that you really can't overhype it because people are going to play it. Elder Scroll fans are going to buy it and they're going to play it. And, you know, Howard there would have to do a monumentally brain dead thing to turn those fans away. They're hardcore fans. They are what they are. So
Todd Howard could release an article stating he likes cake, and the internet would spin it into a conspiracy about Fallout. Cake was invented in Egypt, which have pyramids, which are rumored to have been created by aliens who potentially worshipped cats. Ah, I got it. Todd's love for cake reference indicates Fallout 76 will add pets, and you'll be able to get a cat. Another AV exclusive. Anyway, I found this article from IGN, who managed to interview Emil Pagliarulo.
That was funny because one of my favorite mods in Fallout 4 is cats. You know, they increase the happiness of your settlement, so they got a use. But yeah, I just cats, send them running around your settlement. Awesome.
Bethesda's lead writer. When asked what lessons Bethesda learned from Starfield, he stated there was only one. Fans really want Elder Scrolls 6, and he said that Starfield's future was exciting. So, from all the feedback received from Starfield, he said they learned that fans want the Elder Scrolls 6? That's it? That was the lesson after thousands of reviews? Now he's either being incredibly coy or ChatGPT is over summarizing those fan reviews. Exploration feels pointless because there's nothing interesting. Too long didn't read I want Elder Scrolls 6. Todd Howard still seems to live in a world where titles like Cyberpunk don't exist. It's too long didn't read I want Elder Scrolls 6. This really is a mile wide and a centimeter deep. Planets are too long didn't read I want Elder Scrolls 6. We know what you're going to say. I want to apologize for...
I just want to jump in and say every one of those complaints was valid that he read there. Every one of them was valid.
My sarcasm here, but I really do worry about Emil's response to this question. There's been so much feedback after Starfield, and most of it carries over to the Oblivion remaster too. The Shattered Space DLC sits at a 4.9 out of 10 on Metacritic. There has been a lot of constructive criticism after Starfield's disappointment, and to summarize it as simply being a case of fans wanting a different title seems a little simplistic. The issue here is Emil and Bethesda in general have all always seem to ignore any feedback and live in their own world. Now don't get me wrong, fans surely do want the Elder Scrolls 6, but it has to be a good Elder Scrolls 6. In this video I will cover everything they needed to learn from Starfield's release and explain why, despite this comment seeming meaningless, it indicates a bigger problem at Bethesda. So without further ado, let's get into it. And as always, if you're new here and love discussing gaming, please consider subscribing. The first lesson is...
And again, if you like this video from AVV, I will be putting his channel's address in the description of my video. So I encourage everybody who likes what they see here from him, and like I got to admit, I like his videos. I do. That's one of the reasons why I'm starting off with it. Plus, it's about Starfield, and I've been meaning to retouch on Starfield for a while, but I like his videos. So yeah, I encourage everybody, go into the description of the video, click on the link, subscribe to his channel. After you subscribe to my channel, hint, hint, and yeah, all the power to you.
Studios should have learned from Starfield is that handcrafted worlds are a huge staple in all their successful titles. Bethesda needs to realize that procedural generation, at least the way it was used in Starfield, undermines what made their past games special. From Morrowind to Oblivion, Skyrim, Fallout 3 and 4, their worlds were all handcrafted.
So I know what he's talking about here, and I agree with it to a point about the handcrafting. Is like, you open up a Fallout map. It's really, really obvious in Fallout, and to a certain degree in Elder Scrolls, but I think Fallout is a better example of it, of the handcrafting and how you have these detailed maps with everything, and Starfield did not have that. Like, Starfield planets were empty, and there's just no other way around it. They were empty. And now, because of the size of the universe or galaxy of Starfield, it would be foolish to expect Elder Scrolls or Fallout detailed maps. But they should have been, and I don't even take offense to the procedural maps, to be honest. Like, I know a lot of these guys do, I don't, but they needed more content on the worlds. That's really basically it, is they needed more content, and because it was procedurally generated, they needed more source in the procedure so that it wasn't always the same buildings.
Every map packed with unique towns, dungeons and landmarks that made exploration rewarding. No matter what you discovered, you were guaranteed some type of unique experience. This made exploration rewarding and worth the player's time. In Starfield, however, players faced 1,000 procedurally generated planets that felt empty and repetitive. The game would just automatically generate a grid, removing the handcrafted element. Locations are randomly scattered, often requiring long, uneventful walks in between. In previous Bethesda titles on the way to it, the player will pass by forgotten ruins, caves that beg to be explored.
Okay, so what I was saying though is on the Starfield map is, when you look at all those icons that were on the Starfield map, most of them are just, they're not explorable stuff. They were just like, okay, here you got a rock outcropping, here you got well, it's like a oil refinery, but pipelines, but there's really nothing to explore. You know, they were empty locations, basically, is what I'm trying to say. They weren't detailed explorations.
And random NPC events that demanded your attention. It made the player want to walk everywhere because there was so much to see and it felt like a true adventure.
And that is 1,000. See, I'm a completionist. When I play a game, I want to go everywhere. I want to discover everything. And in Cyberpunk 2077, I mean, everybody loves the cars. I didn't drive, except when I absolutely had to. I walked everywhere because I wanted to explore everywhere. The same with Elder Scrolls. I didn't ride a horse. I walked. It took me longer, but I got to see everything. I didn't miss anything. You know, Fallout, well, Fallout doesn't have vehicles to drive around in, but I walked everywhere, and I barely use fast travel in Fallout 4 unless I've cleaned out an area so completely that there's no sense walking through it. Then I'll fast travel back to Sanctuary and to Diamond City, like that, because I've done everything between. But I walk, and I tried doing that with Starfield. I really did. And I even resisted when they came out with the buggy because I wanted to walk. That's how I play the games. I ended up using the buggy because you just had these wide open spaces of nothing, emptiness. It was a waste of time to walk.
In Starfield, there's nothing between landmarks, so it becomes incredibly boring. What amplifies this issue is that the locations that were drawn from were incredibly repetitive. Skyrim had over 200 unique dungeons, Fallout 4 had 250 plus, whereas Starfield had around 10 to 20 pre-built dungeons. These were scattered randomly on these procedurally generated planets. 20 dungeons, 1,000 planets. You see the issue? Players would run into the same locations over and over again across multiple planets. This may seem an obvious one, but Bethesda need to go back to handcrafting their worlds and make sure the Elder Scrolls 6 follows the same blueprint.
Okay, so I agree Elder Scrolls 6 needs to be handcrafted because that is the franchise. Elder Scrolls is not a procedurally created game. It is handcrafted. Same with Fallout. I know Fallout 4 did a bit of procedural. I think they need to go back to what brought them to the dance. I disagree with Starfield. I don't think Starfield needs to go to handcrafted. He said it himself. 20 dungeons or 20 buildings, 1,000 planets. They needed more to draw from. It's really that simple. 20 was not enough. They needed, I'm going to say 500 pre-designed buildings, and then they can procedurally generate them on those 1,000 planets. And suddenly you're not in the same oil refinery, the same factory, it's not the same over and over and over and over. And that would have been massive in Starfield. That one change alone would have been massive for Starfield. Now, that wasn't the only problem in Starfield, but speaking of the maps, that would have probably eliminated, I'm going to hazard a guess of at least 60 to 70% of the complaints about the procedural generation. That would have been eliminated if they had just had more than 20.
Design the entire world map from scratch, place locations across it and make sure they're all unique to one another. No repeat dungeons, no copy-paste landmarks, everything must be different. In other words, just go back to the same setup as you had in Morrowind, Oblivion and Skyrim. Starfield showed that size isn't everything. Players would rather have a smaller open world which is jam-packed with quality content rather than a large barren wasteland with nothing to see.
That is false. He's wrong there. We've had open world games that were small, that had jam-packed, and people bitched about their size. So no, people want the wide openness. I mean, this is what this is the only reason No Man's Sky still exists today. Because it came out and it was just lambasted as being terrible. And they've fixed it over the years, from what I've read. I'd never went back and played it. But that early session typically should have killed them, except they had this massive, massive, massive galaxy universe. And that kept people coming in. Well, they fixed it, improved it, and corrected a lot of their mistakes. So, no, going too small, you get just as many complaints when you go too small as you do when you have big, open, empty. The problem is the empty. It's not that it was so big. The big is probably one of the reasons Starfield is still holding on. Because the writing in Starfield was not good. But it's just massive. Like, I still plan to go back and play it because, like I said, I'm a completionist. I want to see every damn planet that game has. You know, you can call it ADD or whatever. I want to do that. And I think there's a fair amount of people that think the same way. So I disagree with them that you go to small loaded with good content. No, it's not one or the other extreme. You want the good in everything. So the larger the map, the better, but you want it packed with good stuff.
Okay, Av, this seems obvious. Why bring this up? Well, check this out. The Elder Scrolls 6 will last gamers at least 10 years, Bethesda teases. Todd Howard says, okay, people are going to want to play the next Elder Scrolls game for a decade, 2 decades, and that does change the way you think about how you architect it from the get-go. So straight away, Todd is saying, bigger is better, and this is a problem when it comes to modern Bethesda. See, procedural generation doesn't just stop at world building. The same problem exists in quest design.
Yes.
In Morrowind and Oblivion, every quest was handwritten. Skyrim added some Radiant quests, which are computer-generated objectives that never end, but they were a small fraction. It didn't water down the game. It added to an already impressive list of handwritten side quests, a reason to play on after 100% completion. Fallout 4 leaned more heavily on them. Think settlement building and Preston's endless settlement missions. Rather than Radiant quests being a side dish, it now made up about 40% of the total content. Starfield went further, relying on repetitive computer-generated fetch quests that lack story, stakes, or progression.
100% correct. I freaking hated the Starfield, these quests that you're seeing. I despised them. But if you've watched any of my gaming videos, I like story. I like character development. Look at this list. There's no story. There's no character development. This little write-up is not a story. You know, and I mean, these are fine for there was another one they did. It was you would collect goods and you'd ship them to another place. Okay, those are fine for cargo missions. Yeah, that's a good name for them, cargo missions. But these bounty hunter and all these rangers and everything, no, you need actual story behind them. You want to be emotionally invested in them, not just click on the terminal, go. Like, this is something right out of Star Wars Galaxy. And I was just in a discussion on Reddit about Star Wars Galaxy, and the person asked why did Star Wars Galaxy fail, and I said, in a nutshell, I said the devs didn't have faith in their product, and there was no storyline in it, you know. And this is exactly what the mission terminals in Star Wars Galaxy looked like. And other than grinding out your XP to level, nobody was interested in it. And that was the problem with Starfield, is nobody's interested in this crap. They want to be invested emotionally in the characters.
In Starfield, these quests were no longer bonuses. They were the entire game. Modern games like The Witcher 3, Cyberpunk, and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 proved that side quests can be meaningful and fully scripted, setting new expectations. The days of fetch quests are over, and now fans want all of them to be meaningful. If The Elder Scrolls 6 leans too much on Radiant quests, just as they did in Starfield, players will check out fast. Procedural content should supplement the game, not dominate it. The second thing a lot of people complained about was how dated the game appeared. There were tons of loading screens.
Okay, I'm so tired of freaking hearing this. I really am. I honestly just I mentally block, not physically, but mentally block anyone that whines about loading screens in Starfield. But you got to remember, I come from an era where, you know, loading screens were, to me, are 5, 6, 7, 10 minutes on my Commodore 64. I don't think I waited more than 10 seconds on and that was the extreme, more like 3 to 5 seconds as the norm on any loading screen in Starfield. And they were widespread. They were not one after another, after another, after another. It was widespread. It was like, okay, I'm going into the planet. I got a 3-second loading screen. Oh, look, I landed. You know, I don't even have enough time to go take a leak. You know, yet for some reason, these modern gamers, they just whine about these loading screens. It's like, I honestly think it's they're creating complaints to whine about because it wasn't a big deal. Like most loading screens, like going through a door for, oh, I forget the name of it now. The Starborn. It's like you go from the outside to the inside. It took me, I think it was 2 seconds loading screen. Big whoop. That's not a game breaker.
Dialogue and cumbersome menus. Bethesda had made Starfield in their usual creation engine, which 15 years ago was able to match modern standards, but that's no longer the case. In order to travel the systems, players would have to open the menu, fast travel to part of space, and then fast travel again to the actual planet. It really ruined immersion and brought exploration to a grinding halt. The main issue here was the amount of time players would spend in front of a loading screen.
Again, it was a few seconds. I really do not understand the complaints about the loading screens in Starfield. There's a lot to complain about in Starfield. The loading screens, they're just like, yeah, I don't get it.
To get to a bar in Neon, you'd have to see a loading screen 5 times. That's absurd, and when the Oblivion remaster came out earlier this year, it had the same issues. The problem for Bethesda is the fact that almost every modern game of today has no loading screens at all. Games like Elden Ring, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and Witcher 3 use minimal loading screens and allow the player to travel seamlessly across the map.
I love the Witcher series. Like, Witcher 1 is my number 2 game of all time. Absolutely love it. But I also love Witcher 2 and 3. And one of my complaints in The Witcher 3 was that you just walked through doors. You didn't open doors, you just walked through them because they swung, just like in GTA. And to me, that was immersion breaking. You know, I want to open a door. I don't want to just push through it. I guess it's your expectation, but yeah, it's like, I think he's nitpicking here.
Enter interiors with no breaks in between. No Man's Sky, released 3 years before Starfield, offered a infinite galaxy with seamless exploration. Starfield before Starfield, at a fraction of the budget and with 0 loading screens. This is no longer a breakthrough, it's the industry standard. Bethesda must find a way to minimize this in The Elder Scrolls 6 because it was a huge issue in both the Oblivion remaster and in Starfield. Another limitation of the creation engine is its lack of modern polish. Games like Cyberpunk and Red Dead Redemption 2 use motion capture.
Okay, Cyberpunk is a masterpiece. It's an absolute masterpiece, and you can see that, like, that's just amazing. Visually, that's amazing. What he's leaving out of his video is Cyberpunk has gotten rid of this engine. They're not doing it for Cyberpunk 2. They're going to Unreal 5 engine. So even though this is amazing, this was not viable for them. So what he's asking now, I think Starfield should have been done in Unreal 5 as well. Like, I don't disagree with him about the crate engine. It's dated. I thought Starfield looked amazing, to be honest. Visually, I thought Starfield was absolutely stunning. The visuals of Starfield, other than the modern, trying to think of the word here, they make all the characters look ugly, you know, and there's lots of videos out there talking about how the women are all, they're not appealing. Like in Cyberpunk, you look at Judy, you look at Panam, and a ton of other women, they are stunningly beautiful. Then you look at in Starfield, they're plain to homely. There's just no other way to put it. They're plain to homely, but they were designed that way intentionally. And that was a mistake in there. But speaking of the engine, like, yeah, Bethesda needs to update their engine, but using Cyberpunk isn't really the example he thinks it is, because Cyberpunk has stopped using the red engine. They're going to Unreal 5 for Cyberpunk 2 and for the next Witcher game.
to make NPCs feel alive. Characters move naturally, interact with their surroundings, and use the environment to immerse the player. The Witcher 3 even added cinematic camera angles to dialogue. By contrast, Starfield's NPCs just
See, like, she's one of the best looking female characters in the game. Sarah, to me, is plain. She's very plain. She's not a stunning beauty.
Blankly at the player, which quickly kills interest. This static interaction style was outdated years ago, and Elder Scrolls 6 must find a fresh approach. In today's fast-paced media environment, lifeless NPCs speaking slowly won't hold players' attention. Modern AAA titles also make worlds feel authentic. In Red Dead Redemption 2, or Kingdom Come Deliverance, NPCs follow real schedules, working, socializing, and reacting believably to events. By comparison, Starfield cities felt artificial. NPCs wandered aimlessly, unaffected even by gunfire or grenades.
I tested this. He's 100% correct. You can shoot the guns in the city, and unless you hit somebody, there's absolutely no detriment to you whatsoever. If you hit somebody, you might get the guards coming after you. But yeah, that's actual video. They do not respond to it, and that is a fault of Bethesda for sure.
That kind of immersion break might have been acceptable in 2011, but not now. Bethesda must ensure towns and their inhabitants feel genuinely alive. Other games have made their open worlds feel real, whereas Bethesda is still making Skyrim towns in 2023. The Elder Scrolls 6 must attempt to match these new modern standards. And finally, the engine itself is restrictive. Interactions are limited to a single button, animations are basic, and enemy AI is shallow. The creation engine has clearly held Bethesda back, and while it's important for modding, it keeps the game stuck in the past. Starfield often felt like a 2010 release, despite launching in 2023. With Witcher 4 being built in Unreal Engine, and GTA 6 showcasing cutting-edge tech, Elder Scrolls 6 risks looking outdated from the start if Bethesda doesn't modernize. However, fan-made mods like Fallout London added ladder climbing, whereas Bethesda never have, so the issue is maybe deeper than just the engine. Another element at Bethesda that feels outdated is the writing. Lead writer Emil Pagliarulo has long been criticized for weak storytelling, but
the writing in Starfield is absolutely atrocious. It's my number one complaint. It was horrendous. I'll go back to Cyberpunk 2077. Cyberpunk 2077 was a masterpiece in writing. They had one quest line that was with a vending machine. And by the end of that quest line, you got a little emotional at the end. It gotcha. It gotcha. Nothing in Starfield got me. It was very bland, very generic, very safe. And that was the writing. The writing was not good. And that was my biggest complaint of Starfield, is that and the NPCs, like the companion characters. I didn't care about them. I really didn't care about them. It's like they didn't stand out to me. They didn't appeal to me. They were just meh.
But past games were carried by the rich lore of Elder Scrolls and Fallout, worlds originally created by writers like Julian LeFay, Ted Peterson, and Tim Kaine, who have long since left the studio. Starfield lacked that foundation, leaving Emil to build the new setting all by himself, and what we basically got was humans in space, cowboys in space, pirates in space, and just reskinned Earth culture, Starbucks in space, banks in space. Instead of alien civilizations or cosmic mysteries, players found copy-paste factions, bland towns, and forgettable, often procedurally generated quests. Combined with repetitive exploration, the result felt shallow and uninspired.
Take a look at that picture. That's gorgeous. Like, he was talking earlier that it wasn't very stunningly beautiful. The landscapes of Starfield are absolutely gorgeous. They really are. I would say the landscapes in Starfield are its strongest attribute. You look at that, that is stunningly beautiful. It's empty, but it's beautiful.
With the world building and writing widely regarded as Bethesda's weakest to date. This has been a trend. Skyrim's fetch quests and Fallout 4's plot holes showed the same cracks, but at the time, players were more forgiving. Modern RPGs like The Witcher 3 or Baldur's Gate 3, Kingdom Come Deliverance have since raised the bar, proving open worlds can deliver both scale and depth. Bethesda, however, stuck to juvenile writing and simplistic quest design, making
plain. Another woman, plain. Hey, there is no attractive women in Starfield, and I really do believe that was intentionally done. And I'm not going to go into politics, but I think it was a political agenda to do that.
Starfield feel obsolete. To stay relevant, they need stronger writers and more thoughtful, complex narratives. Modern games thrive on nuance, morally grey areas that respect players' intelligence, stories that leave an impression. Bethesda too often falls back on cartoonish good versus evil archetypes. I did a more in-depth video on this subject here in case you want to see, but the main thing is the writing has to be improved at Bethesda. And another thing, when it comes to dialogue in games, Bethesda leaned on the more is better, releasing articles bragging about Starfield's record dialogue count, but
that's true, and I actually got excited hearing about all the more lines of dialogue, because in Fallout 4 I found the dialogue lacking because there wasn't enough of it. So in my mind I was thinking, okay, we're going to have Fallout 4 quality, but all this extra. And that didn't come to be. We got all the extra, but as I've said, it was very dull, plain, boring.
But quantity slowed the pacing. Good writing is concise. Say it in one sentence, not 10. Dragging it out is boring, and unlike YouTube, games don't earn ad revenue from wasted time. Role-playing freedom has also been stripped away over the years at Bethesda. In Morrowind, you could kill main quest NPCs, faction leaders, even essential characters, and the game adapted to your choices. Designer Ken Rolston, coming from tabletop RPGs, built the game around unrestricted player agency. Later titles scaled that back. Oblivion simplified things. Skyrim went further, and Starfield reduced it even more. In chasing mass appeal, Bethesda shifted from deep RPGs to more accessible action adventures. Now that approach worked for Skyrim and Fallout 4, but when The Witcher 3 released in 2015, with meaningful choices and consequences, it reset expectations. Since then, Disco Elysium, Baldur's Gate 3 and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 have doubled down on decision making, giving players reasons to replay and push the story in new directions. Starfield, by contrast, always plays the same. The funny thing is, back in 2010, role-playing games were sort of like an anomaly. They weren't the desired choice, and these action games were the ones that sold well and were popular. So Bethesda went in that direction, and nowadays, somehow the RPG games have made a comeback, whereas the action games have been put to the side. So Bethesda is sort of stuck in no man's land where they're not really succeeding at either one. They're not a great action game, and they're not a great RPG. For The Elder Scrolls 6 to succeed, Bethesda needs to restore deep role-playing mechanics and genuine player freedom.
Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. I agree 100%. As I said, I'm a story guy. Always have been, always will be. The better the characters, the more engaged I am. The weaker the characters, the more I don't care.
Whether by looking to modern RPGs or to their own classics. Doing so would make their games richer, more replayable, and far less one-dimensional. Gamers in 2025 want more deep, complex writing, side quests that offer memorable subplots, and role-playing that actually changes the story's direction. Emil's #1 rule in writing is
keep it simple, stupid.
But gaming fans are no longer willing to accept that. They want stories with emotional weight combined with deep role-playing mechanics. In Skyrim, players often only have one dialogue option to respond, making it a redundant thing. Fallout 4 gave the player 4 responses which were essentially the same thing, just with different wording, giving the illusion of choice. Back then, they got a pass. But now, after Witcher 3, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and Baldur's Gate 3, true player choice is mandatory in an RPG. So in a nutshell, although Emil Pagliarulo may say the main thing they took from Starfield's reception is that the players just want to play The Elder Scrolls 6, he needs to know that the title won't be enough alone. The title will get people to buy the game, but it won't make them stay. Although the Oblivion remaster sold well, its success was based primarily on nostalgic fans like myself, and newer gamers didn't understand the appeal. Not just that, but the Oblivion remaster's player count dropped by 82% 1 month after its release.
Wow.
So players bought it, but they didn't stick around. In other words, if The Elder Scrolls 6 releases and it's still at the same level as Starfield is, the gaming world may reject it. When you consider that we have GTA 6 and Witcher 4 dropping around the same time, it could highlight a lot of Bethesda's weaknesses. We all want The Elder Scrolls 6, but the criticism Starfield received was more than a simple pining for a beloved series. The procedural generated content, the outdated engine, the loading screens, no player choice, and poor writing all played a part in Starfield's criticism. You can call the game The Elder Scrolls 6, but if it's in the same blueprint, you'll get the same results. I, for one, really hope that they reviewed that feedback, but Bethesda have a strong record for ignoring any constructive criticism. After Starfield's negative reception, Emil responded by stating that Starfield was their best game to date. When the Shattered Space DLC arrived to poor reviews, he stated Bethesda were the best at DLC in the whole industry. When Starfield did receive negative reviews, rather than taking on the feedback, they responded to each review debating the fans, saying how fun the game was. Essentially, whenever they receive any type of constructive feedback, they close their ears and pretend it doesn't exist. So, when Emil Pagliarulo says the lessons they learned from Starfield was fans want Elder Scrolls 6, I truly think he believes that's the only complaint. That it really is that simple.
Yeah, I don't believe that. Like, the examples he just gave, it sounds like a company man given the company line. And you can't take any of these press clippings as biblical truth. Sounds to me like they're aware of the problems. They're just not going to admit them publicly. And then we're just going to be stuck hoping they fix them behind the scenes. I don't know if they will.
The feedback is irrelevant. Despite the negative reviews received by Fallout 76, Starfield and Shattered Space, it seems everybody knows Bethesda titles have started to lose their magic. Everyone, that is, except Bethesda. Despite fan anticipation for The Elder Scrolls 6, Bethesda's recent history with Starfield and the Oblivion remaster suggests that the studio has much more to learn than simply delivering the next installment. Starfield highlighted major issues, including overly large procedurally generated worlds, lacking meaningful exploration, an outdated engine with excessive loading screens, shallow writing, and limited player freedom. Problems that modern games have already surpassed. While Emil Pagliarulo claims the key takeaway was that fans want The Elder Scrolls 6, the deeper critique about game design, storytelling, and technical execution appears largely ignored. The Elder Scrolls 6 can't just be Skyrim with Starfield's flaws. It has to modernize, or risk being overshadowed by newer titles.
I do agree with that. But the question is going to come down to how do they modernize it. Now, when this video is over, I'm gonna talk about my ideas on what Starfield needs. But
anyway, that's it for this one. But what do you guys think? Do you feel Bethesda can return to form? Did I miss any other critiques that you could add? And what do you feel the Elder Scrolls 6 must get right? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please give it the thumbs up. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I'm AVV Gaming, where we do video game analysis, identifying what makes great games great and what could make good games great as well. Thanks for watching. AVV out.
Alrighty, so that was the video. Like I said, I really do enjoy that video. And if you enjoyed the video, look in the description, and I've put a link to AVV's gaming site. And yeah, by all means, after you subscribe to my site, go there and subscribe to his site and watch his videos. So what do I think? He touched on it. What do I think Starfield needs? Well, first off, obviously a story. The writing was not good. It really wasn't. I did not feel connected to any of the storylines I played. I just didn't. It's like the characters were bland to me. The quests were very cookie cutter. You know, I hated the mission terminals, and I accept that some of the mission terminals are required. Like I said, for cargo missions, it makes perfect sense. You don't need a big, long storyline. You know, oh, we mined this in this place, and we refined it here, and we've developed this, and now we need you to... No, we don't need that. You can take the ore from here to here, and you're done. Those are fine. Those are fine. But when you're being hired as a bounty hunter or something like that, you need a deeper story than what they were giving off those terminals. You just do. He's 100% right that Cyberpunk 2077 took side missions and they gave you reasons to care. It wasn't just go here, kill this guy and leave. You know, you had reasons. But for me, the biggest thing is the emotional investment. I did not feel emotionally invested. I just didn't in Starfield. You know, as I said, I didn't like my companions. I like Sarah and the Russian chick, and even they were not, if you're comparing them to, say, Triss and Yennefer in The Witcher, or Judy and Panam in Cyberpunk 2077, Sarah and the Russian chick run a distant 300th in a list of 3. You know, they just... One of the things I think Starfield needs to embrace, and I know Bethesda fights this, they fight this in all their games, but especially for Starfield, as it had a mature rating, I think they need to make a mature game. I really do. Like, I turned the game off and took a break. My first long break, when I romanced Sarah, and we went up to we got married, which didn't thrill me either. But that's just me. And we went up to the hotel room, and I got black screened. I frickin' hate black screen. If you are going to do romance and sexual content, then do romance and sexual content. If you are not willing to do it as per Cyberpunk 2077, or even though I've never played it, I've heard about it in Baldur's Gate, the newest Baldur's Gate. If you're not willing to do that, then leave it out of your game. It's not needed. So either do it right or don't do it. You know, the fact that you have to go to mods for that type of crap pisses me off. It really does. And I'm not anti-mod. Like, Bethesda games, I run an average of 50 to 200 mods per game, depending on the title. So I'm not anti-mod, but there is certain things in the games that I think should be in the games. You know, it's like Cyberpunk 2077. I love that game, but I won't be buying Cyberpunk 2077 2 if they force first person. Just nope. In my opinion, modern day games need to have the choice of first and third person. That's up to the player to decide how they want to play, not up to the developer. So for Cyberpunk, that's the line in the sand I have for Cyberpunk. For Starfield, it's, you know, if you're going to put stuff in your game, then put it in your game. Do it right. You already have the mature settings, so what do you got to lose? Like, I would gladly give up all the swearing to have meaningful NPCs and romance, I would, you know. But if you're not willing to do it, just leave it out of your game. Simple as that. Just don't do it half-ass. And as I said before, this is getting long, so I'm gonna finish this up. But as I said, it's you know, the writing's got to improve. They need more buildings to draw from. It's that simple, just more. And yeah. So anyway, I really enjoyed that video, and I wanted that to be my premiere episode for React Fridays. Tell me in the comments what you thought. You know, do you agree with me? Do you agree with Av? Do you disagree with me? Do you disagree with Av? You know, and again, if you have any videos you think I should take a look at, please drop them in the comments and tell me. And so anyway, yeah, that's really all I have for you today. So if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, a subscribe, and a share. I'm trying to grow my channel, and a like, a subscribe, and a share does me wonders, and I do appreciate it. I really do. It takes 1 second to subscribe. Costs you absolutely nothing. Just hit the subscribe button below. Always feel free to leave a comment. I encourage everybody to leave a comment. Not only does it get us interacting, but it really does help me with the YouTube algorithm and getting more eyes on my videos. And as always, pew, 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 and shit. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.